Good morning. Today we're going to be going over drill calibration. Some of the things the materials that we're going to need for drill calibration are going to be a tarp to collect the seed on, a bucket to then transfer from tarp to bucket, and then some sort of a scale to measure the amount of seed that you collect. So keep in mind whatever end use rate you're looking for is going to determine the size of scale that you need. So if you're planting teff grass, 10 pounds to the acre, you're going to need a small food type scale to measure that small of amount. If you're planting a cereal or a mix that's going to be heavier seeding rate, you might be okay with a different style of scale, or maybe even a bathroom scale. So we get a lot of phone calls when it comes to cover crop mixes and things like that. Guys wondering how do they set a drill for a 6-way cover crop mix, because a lot of times there's not going to be anything similar to that on the in the manual or on the drill box. So today we hope to go over some of the steps and the math to accomplish this. So to start with the figures in drill calibration, one of the things we've got to keep in mind is that what we're actually trying to do is simulate this drill covering an acre of land, but while doing it stationary, so that we can collect that seed and measure just how much it is metering out. So with an acre in mind, we start with 43,560, so 43,560 square feet in an acre. From there, we're going to divide that by our drill width. Today we're using a Great Plains 1006, one of the more common drills that our conservation districts have, and it happens to be a 10-footer. So if we take 43,560 divided by our drill width of 10 feet, that gives us 4,356 linear feet. So if we were to drive this drill for 4,300 linear feet, that would cover an acre. So as I mentioned earlier, we want to do this stationary so that we can collect the seed. And so that kind of brings us to our next step. We'll then take our 4,356 linear feet, and we'll divide that by our drive wheel, because you know all these box drills are going to be ground driven, and so that drive wheel the circumference of that is going to give us how much area we're covering. So I plugged in an 8-foot drive wheel, because a lot of them are a 96-inch or an 8-foot drive wheel. And so if we put that into the formula, 4,356 divided by 8, that means that wheel will turn 544.5 revolutions to equal 1 acre. So if we were to spin that wheel 545 times, that would cover 1 acre. And that's fine, that would be very accurate, but we don't necessarily want to spin that wheel 545 times, so we'll take that and we'll just divide it by 10. So we'll actually be calibrating for 1/10 of an acre. So basically 54.5 spins is going to cover 1/10 of an acre, and we'll want to reduce the seed that we're trying to collect by 10% to get there too. So if we were applying a warm season mix that at the end of the day we were shooting for a 20 pound per acre, since we're calibrating for 1/10 of an acre, we would actually just want to collect 2 pounds. So I did mention all the wheel circumference if you're using a different type of drill than a Great Plains 1006, but I do want to point out that Great Plains makes it fairly easy to calibrate these drills. They've got a crank on the front, and if you look at the manual, it'll tell you how many cranks that's going to take to cover 1 acre. So this particular drill says 411 revolutions of that crank will cover an acre, so we're going to divide that by 10 and do 41. So moving on to step 2. After running our calibration, we took that seed over to the scale and measured it. We're a little bit light, so we went ahead and opened it up on the dial a little bit more, recalibrated, and was pretty much right on where we wanted to be. And then went ahead and actually recalibrated again just to make sure we were getting an equal amount of drop each time. But in conclusion here, the materials you're going to need are going to be a tarp, some sort of a small scale, like a small food scale, a bucket or a tote to catch that seed in. And then here's our equation again. We're going to be that 43,560 square feet in an acre divided by your drill width, and take that number and divide it by the drive wheel circumference. And that's going to give you the amount of spins that you're going to need to cover an acre. And again, if you want to only calibrate for 1/10 of an acre, just divide the seed amount and those wheel spins by 10. Thank you. I hope this video has been worth your time.